Hey. So pull this up. Give some time for people to join as always. Okay. Just give it a few more minutes, I guess. I thought no one's joined by like 3:10. Let's get started. Okay, still no one. That's fine. Completely fine. People are probably just busy. It's all good. But even if people aren't here, I just want to make my way through these. Okay, we'll give it one more minute and then we'll get going. Sure, that's not what I intended to run into. Oh. This, oh wow. Hello, I see someone joined, so I guess I'll get started in one moment. Okay, I guess let's get going. Okay, so new stream, new set of 20 more games. I was not going for all 20 at once, but back to Top Cycle. I think this is either the third or fourth cycle. I think this might be the fifth cycle. So hey, we've done a lot of these. So the start of the first game is going to be Ashy versus Hayden. I believe Ashy is 1-0 going into this, and Hayden, I don't know if Hayden's playing a game yet. So let's go straight into the matchup. So Hayden obviously has Rain here. Well, not really Rain, but King Drain has Starmie that can use Rain. There isn't really a Rain Sarah than Bronzong, though. Kingdra's very strong, however. Obviously, the only real switch-in is Milotic. And even then, Milotic doesn't take Specs Dragon Pulses that well, or Specs Dracos, even. But Ashley does have the Tyranitar, which can come in on the Kingdra and then switch out to Milo and generally make good progress that way. Funny enough, T-Char's actually kind of battier into triple steel type. That's a bit rough for it. But it still has utility here. Maybe I'll get Scarf set to Pursuit Trap Starmie or something. Fly Guy's pretty solid. Outside the Bronzong, not much really wants to take it on. And Bronzong is also kind of necessary for the Tyranitar to an extent. Miss Mag also looks very good here. No natural ghost resist outside these bomb to... I guess Steelix is probably likely to come over Gardevoir, although Steelix is a bit abusable by some of the things on a team like Milotic. I do think Hayden's arrow looks pretty solid here. Outside the Scarm, which, yes, the Scarm takes it on, but Bane Stowage still is like a good 35 to 40. So if you can chip the Scarm a little bit and then force it out, arrow can 2-hit KO, assuming you land your Stone Edges. A pretty basic matchup here. I think I lean Hayden just because the Kingdra's really strong, but definitely can go either way. Let's hop into the game. Then we've got, on the left, we've got Ashley. On the right, we've got Hayden. So we are going to see a taunt for Drapion as the Bronzong is just going to... try and rock. And then we see the SD. And then Bronzong's just going to 2-hit KO. That's a very fast rate, and an offensive Bronzong that's doing so much damage. Flygon coming in, just clicking Fire Blast, but Starmie's going to take virtually nothing, even with the Life Orb, and heal off a third of that damage with just the lefties. Milo and Venu will come in. Venu's going to take nothing for the Ice Beam and quick Sleep Powder, putting Milo out of commission for the time being. T-Char's going to come in. Venu's just going to knock off, getting rid of T-Char's Pasho Berry. That makes the Kingdra and the Starmie a lot scarier, especially with the main water resist in Milo going down. Arrow coming in on the rocks, very aggressive play from Hayden, but it could work out. Earthquake on the Scarm switch in, but now it's going to be forced out. It's going to just have to take rocks next time anyway. Bronzong comes in. Scarm's going to kick rocks, pull in the Venusaur, do some more chip with the rocks, and obviously Sand and Lefty's going to Nullifier. Spikes from the Scarm, so getting more up. But Leech Seed will allow Venu to start healing as well. T-Tar comes in as Starmie comes in without the Pasho. T-Tar probably still lives the Surf, honestly. But he is going to switch not only to take all that damage. In comes Miss Mag to block the spin. Miss Mag is just going to fire off a Shadow Ball and knock out the Starmie. These hazards are staying up. It is Scarfed. Venusaur is going to come in here. Take a lot more chip then. In the Scarm's going to take the Leech Seed, but Scarm doesn't really mind that much because it can just roost off the damage anyway. Out comes Miss Mag in the Bronzong. This is a very strong position. Miss Maggie does... Actually, I don't think Miss Maggie's kills with Shadow Ball. You might have to switch. Now, I might just trick the Scarf onto Bronzong, and that's why Gyro Ball did so much damage earlier. It's freaking Macho Brace to lower its speed and increase Gyro Ball's damage into the Drapion. I never would have guessed that, I'll be honest. Miss Mag, good quick will into the Kingdra, but now this Kingdra's a huge threat with the Milo asleep. Yeah, Hydro Pump 3 KOs here. And Milo's not burned a sleep turns yet. Why don't you just stay in with Kingdra there? Milo hasn't burned a sleep turns. Just clicking her Hydro Pump. Like, it's not frank. I guess you were worried about the burn damage. I don't know. I feel like I would have just stayed in there clicking her Hydro Pump because you can do force so much damage. T-Tar's going to click Pursuit as Gardevoir protects itself. And now it's going to Pursuit, but it's not going to knock out the Gardevoir as Gardevoir clicks Wish. However, Gardevoir, I mean, it can protect, but like, this Wish is going to be useless then. And this is a Scarf T-Tar, I assume, based on outspeeding the Gardevoir. I assume Gardevoir would speed for it. T-Tar's going to switch out as Bronzong comes in, but with the Scarf Gyro Ball's damage is heavily reduced, only doing 34 to this Miss Magius. That's why. That's a really cool interaction, tricking a Scarf onto a Bronzong and weakening his Gyro Ball. It's not something you see very often. Then we see an HP Fire from Miss Magius take out that Bronzong. Aerodactyl does come in here. Scarm is a pretty free switch. Stonehenge is going to do 40, so that's probably banded, but with the lefties, Scarm is out of range. It can just start roosting this off. Obviously, there's always the risk of a Stonehenge crit, but it can roost these off. Arrow's going to switch out, bring in Venu here, taking our 25 from hazards as Scarm just roosts off all the damage. Then we see Scarm is going to Brave Bird knocking out that Venusaur. That must be Scarm must have a bit of speed that is faster than Venusaur, or the Venusaur would be like minus speed nature. But that doesn't make much sense. Probably is just like, let's see. Arrow was also running Rain Dance. That's wild. I mean, I've seen a lot of things, but I don't think I've ever seen a Rain Dance Arrow before. In comes Kingdra, it's taking so much chip. Another spike goes up, but Kingdra only gets one attack off here. There's no way. It's got a Hydro Pump taking on a Skarm, but Arrow can't win on its own from 26. Definitely not. In comes the Tyranitar. We know Tyranitar Scarf. We know the Arrow's not. So T-Tar can just click a Rock Move and KO here. Oh, yeah, actually, Arrow outspeeds and it dodges the Rock Slide. What the hell? That's crazy. But it balances out all's justice in the world as Aerodactyl misses the Stone Edge and Tyranitar is going to knock out a Rock Slide. Truly a Rock-type physical attacker moment right there. But yeah, very dominant win from Ashy. Very good prep with the trick. Onto the Bronzong with the Mismag. Pretty basic Skarm set doing a lot of work. Scarf T-Tar makes a lot of sense in his team, especially into Starmie. You can Pursuit Trap, which is really nice. As you may catch a Kingdra of Rain hit for a ton of damage with Stone Edge. The taunt SD Drapion on lead makes sense. If the Bronzong wasn't Mantra Base, it probably would have easily 1v1'd it. I don't love the Gardevoir here. I feel like maybe another Pokemon could have been better. I feel like maybe you should have brought, Hayden could have brought the Steelix. I know Steelix isn't like amazing as matchup, but it would have helped against stuff like the Drapion, even potentially the Mismag or the T-Tar. But yeah, a good win for Ashley. I believe this does propel him into brackets. Okay, on to game 2. Game 2, we have Marto versus Egg Bombs. I believe both his players actually 1-0 going into this, so winner will guarantee their place in the brackets. Loser obviously has to fight their last game to make their spot. So starting off, Marto's Zapdos looks amazing here. There's very little to break it down. A defense that's really good. An offensive set can even be really good with like agility or something if you can chip down the Claydol a bit. Egg Bombs' Metagross, however, is pretty nice here. Yes, there's a Scizor and a Zapdos and a Donphan, but no, those will all take repeat hits. If the Zapdos does take repeat hits, Zapdos getting worn down is really good for late game Pokemon such as Sceptile. Sceptile definitely looks really strong in the late game here, like maybe like a Leaf Storm Rock Slide HP Fire set. Or Leaf Blade, I can see some sort of Swords Dance Leaf Blade to try and break through Blissey. But Sceptile looks very strong here as a means of speed control and just as a way to revenge stuff. And just a Awakening Queen even. Clef looks pretty solid. Toxicroak does not get close combat this gen. So I can see me Calm Mind Clef being really strong here. You just have to watch out for Superpower on Scizor and Donphan. I can maybe see even running a Chople Berry and Flamethrower to catch that Scizor, which would be very good. And if you get Call Boost, it's really hard to break through you. Gyarados on Egg Bombs' side looks pretty solid. Waterfall plus Earthquake hits this team pretty well. Have to watch out for the Zapdos, but obviously like Gyarados can break through it if you get some chip. This Blissey is a bit annoying, but with Metagross and Zapdos, it can probably break through it, and the Entei, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a stopgap for the Rotom. The Donphan being the spinner here isn't great into base form Rotom, meaning that Rocks will probably be staying up this game, and that's a bit rough for Zapdos. The Claydol spinner with no spin blocker is doing fine, so there's definitely Rocks aren't going to be as much of a problem for Egg Bombs' side, meaning Starmie and Entei can't stay healthy, as can Rotom. Even a Sceptile if you want to preserve like a Sash Sceptile for the late game. So yeah, I think I lean Egg Bombs here, even though Marto's Zapdos looks very, very strong. Let's get into the game. You see Zapdos and Metagross lead. Zapdos is going to Heat Wave. This is Metagross just going to boom on turn 1. No, it's going to Rocks. So you have a ton of damage on Metagross and force it out. And Clef's going to come out, take negligible damage. He's going to show the lefties. Hello, Marto. Welcome. Good timing for you. You were in the second game on this stream. Clef's going to get knocked off. Game Rib is... Clef's going to knock off Game Rib with his leftovers, as Blissey's going to get up Rocks. And then we see a Toxic off here. Knockoff's going to do nothing. Blissey's going to S-Toss, get off a quarter of Clef's half. It's going to heal itself with the Natural Cure. Go into Mightyena, so Mightyena did show up. Clef is going to knock off over Mightyena's holding, which is lefties as well. Rotom coming in on Mightyena as Mightyena taunts, but what's Rotom going to do to this? You can't Willow anymore. Yeah, it's going to switch out to Gyarados. I don't think Mightyena gets pursued. If it does, yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't get pursued. Crunch do a bit of chip to Gyarados, and it's getting a little low after those Rocks and the Crunch. In comes Zapdos on the Gyarados. And Zapdos does have another one after the lefty, so he can just roost here. Yep. In comes Clefable. Pretty free switch into Zapdos, of course. As Zapdos goes back out to Blissey. Blissey's getting a little low. It's going to get soft boiled here soon. That Toxic miss is unfortunate. It means you can't really force out Blissey as easily. You're Toxic again here. It's going to quick soft boil, getting all the way back to full. Blissey's just going to cure that Toxic, might as well. And in comes Miana on the Clefable. Wable's going to Toxic the Miana as well. So this is pretty good for Egg Bombs here. As Miana also looking a bit frustrating. It is running Super Fang, makes sense on a taunt set. On more of a like Starbreaker set. And Maia's, I be honest, I forgot Maia gets Heal Bell in XD for some reason. I forgot it. Maia randomly gets Heal Bell in Pokemon XD. So that's going to heal its Toxic. That's kind of wild. And a Clef can't Toxic him as he's torn. I would genuinely just forgot I got that. Crunch into the Gyarados, will do 24. In comes Starmie. Yeah, on the waterfall, not risking him, Egg Bomb's trying to DDSU, potentially Sucker Punch. And Starmie's just going to knock out the Gyarados with Surf there. So very good positioning in early game for Don Mardo. We do see Sceptile come in as I expected. Sceptile's really good in this matchup. It's going to substitute. So Sub-C makes a lot of sense into Blissey. But he's going to miss the Weech. That's really unfortunate. As Blissey gets up a Wish. So he's running double recovery. Makes sense. Zapdos comes in. I assume Zapdos going to Weech Seed again. Yeah. But Zapdos is going to get a lot of health back from that. Weech Seed healing up Sceptile a bit. It's going to Haim Power. I presume Haim Power Fire. Real quick, I will look at a match. Let's see if we can figure out what that Haim Power is. It's Haim Power Fire. It's a scissor. But Zapdos is going to Roar, clearing that substitute. In comes Blissey. So I'm just scheduling a match while we're doing this. But yeah, Side Talk's going to do virtually nothing. Blissey has so much HP. But Blissey is going to switch out, so it's staying low here. In comes the Miana, which is going to get Toxic again. But Blissey's going to Wish is going to heal with Miana. This Miana doing tons of work. And then in comes the Donphan here. Probably going to spin. Rome's going to come in. But Donphan gets have a Toxic on it too, so that's another more chip going around. Then we see Will on the Blissey. So Blissey's going to get really low here. Blissey has to stop with his turn, but Rome can probably knock out a Thunderbolt. Oh, Blissey survives on 1%. That's huge for Mardo. That Thunderbolt barely missing the knockout is definitely a damage roll. And then we do see Soft Boiled here. But Sceptile is getting back in here. And Zapdos is going to come in on rocks. What's Sceptile going to click? Sceptile clicks Leech Seed. Fair enough. Now, it can try and sub down the Zapdos, but Zapdos does have a Roost, obviously. Yeah, it's going to Roost, so Sceptile's going to try and keep it low. Then just going to sub here as Zapdos continues to Roost. Sceptile is getting a lot of health back. That's true. Getting 17% from the Leech Seed. That's kind of wild, but Heam Power and Roar forces out. So Sceptile from Leech Seed and Zapdos is getting almost as much health back with that and lefty as it makes to make the sub. Metagross comes in and gets a bit of health back. In comes the Solrock on the Boom. You're trading your Metagross just to get 74 on a Solrock. That is not a good trade for Egg Bombs at all. And Solrock's just go rest up. Wow. Except that was to get some Leech Seed chip. In comes Entei. As Solrock goes out to Zapdos. So Zapdos is going to be low at 36. Entei can maybe take advantage of this. But Donphan comes in. Entei's probably not going to do too much to it. Flare Blitz does 56, showing a choice band. Means you can just go right out to your Solrock here. Or your Starmie, I guess. Starmie's going to take 50 fruit from Flare Blitz, so yeah, I feel like Solrock might have been the better switch, but yeah, whatever, it works. Starmie is going to click Surf, so it's not going to recover there. It's going to recover here. Yes, it is on this turn. Okay. Clef is just going to Seismic Toss, so Starmie can recover again here. Or it can switch out into Blissey. Avoiding the knockoff. Good play, good play. Another Toxic miss. Toxic is only 85% accurate in this generation. Yep, Toxic does hit the Blissey here, as Blissey just wishes again, so it can get another Pokemon to heal up. And Kuravis Toxic. The Maya comes back in. What is Blissey going to click? Blissey's going to Toxic. Maya is going to heal up, and this is looking like a very hard game for Egg Bombs to get back into. Heal on the Mightyena, healing some statuses, including Solrock's self-inflicted sleep. Blissey's going to come in, take the Seismic Toss very easily. Clef's going to Toxic again. But Blissey can't always just keep coming out Toxic. Clef is down to just 6 Toxics left too at this point, meaning eventually Blissey can just 1v1 it. I mean, and Blissey has way more recovery PP than Clef too. Maia's going to come in, get Toxic again, gets healed up. It can just go Heal Bell. And this cycle is really favoring Mardo. Back into Blissey. Seismic Toss doing a nerf 1/7 basically. In comes the Sceptile. As Blissey's going to soft boil. So Sceptile's going to probably sub here, I guess. Oh, it's going to go Leech Seed and miss. And that allows Blissey to get off a Wish. I mean, it could also Wish you, or obviously, but anyway. In comes the Zapdos. Does he quick the Hidden Power? No, he clicks Leech Seed again. I feel like you had to try and Hidden Power it or try and knock out the Zapdos. I don't think Leech Seed made a lot of sense there since it was getting a Wish anyway. Blissey comes in. Now you click the Hidden Power, but that's going to bounce off that Blissey. Blissey's going to Wish. And it's going to reveal last move, Energy Ball. Okay. So last move, Energy Ball. I am going to move this up to fast because it's taking a while, so... Entei comes in on the Blissey. Blissey's going to Wish. And Entei's going to heal so much with that Leech Seed. We see on Blissey is so much healing. Flare Blitz doing 40% into the Soul Rock, but that is... And then after the... It's not even get 2-hit KO after this thanks to the Wish. Sceptile comes in. Soul Rock clicks Earthquake doing a little bit of damage, not a ton. Blissey comes back in. Sceptile Leech Seeds. Yep, healing a ton of health off this. Blissey can obviously just heal itself, but... Entei can Entei's get a lot of health back from this up to 27. I mean, but if it Flare Blitz is not going to be coming out Roxanne, it's going to reveal Bite. So Entei is packing Bite for the Starmie and the Soul Rock. Very nice prep. Bite's going to do 20 to Donphan, but because it's such a weak move, it's not going to knock out Donphan. No, Donphan runs Rest as well. This team is incredibly fat and relying heavily on the Heal by Mightyena to keep things healthy, and that's a very good strategy. This Mightyena doing so much work. Multiple Restmons getting healed off by it. Leech Seed's going to miss. In comes Zapdos and Clefable. Zapdos will get healed back up. And I'm not sure how Eggmon's going to break down this team. Like, the only way I can see is Entei. But Entei's so low already. And you can't keep it healthy that easily once you get Leech Seed. But even then. Blissey going soft boils down. Just 7 soft boils. Clef just down to 4 Toxics. In comes Mightyena on the Clefable. It will finally it'll get knocked off. So, was it knocked off before? I feel like it is. I guess it just didn't show once you switch out. Fair enough. Like Clef can just Seismic Toss. You have a good chunk into Mightyena, but Mightyena can taunt here. And it can't attack Toxic. It's got Super Fang for a nerf 50%. Seismic Toss into Mightyena, but you can always just wish back into this layer to heal it up. It's a good double with the Sceptile on the Donphan. Very good double. In comes Zapdos. I assume Zapdos is going to Leech Seed here. This Sceptile is missing so many Leech Seeds. Holy shit. In fact, it's down to... That's his last Leech Seed, too. Sceptile is now virtually a non-threat to anything. It only has weak Energy Balls and Hidden Power Fire. It's missing that Leech Seed, costing an Earth. It missed, I think, like 3 Leech Seeds on Zapdos. That costs like 6 PP. That's real unfortunate. Thunderbolt Para doesn't matter because Blissey has Natural Cure. And this Sceptile is virtually useless now. It can't do shit to Blissey anymore. But it was going to knock off another leftovers on Donphan. But Donphan can get off a spin here finally. Fable's going to Toxic the Donphan, but Donphan's going to Earthquake. This might force Clef to start using some soft boileds here finally. They hadn't used May all game. I've just been getting most of its recovery from lefties. Zapdos comes in on the Clefable, takes a Toxic, but again, you can always heal Bell it off with the May later. Back out the Blissey. Sceptile does jack shit to this. With no more Leech Seeds, yeah, Energy Ball's going to do literally nothing. Blissey can just Wish here. Energy Ball again, you can soft boiled, or you can, I guess, yeah, Seismic Toss, don't put soft boil there. Seismic Toss getting some more chip into the Sceptile, but Sceptile just can't do anything anymore in this endgame. It always is blanked by Blissey. In fact, I think pretty much this entire team is blanked by Blissey. You need to find a way to get Entei in and Flare Blitz, but Entei's so low. I don't really see a way. Yeah, Blissey, as Entei comes in, you go out to Mightyena, get Intimidate on the Entei even. Without Leech Seed, Entei can't heal up anymore. Yeah, Flare Blitz will knock out the Mightyena, so Mightyena will go down, meaning statuses will stay, but it doesn't matter. There's no way to beat Blissey at this point. Pain Split from Rotom, but into the Donphan. But yeah, Mightyena did so much work this game. Mightyena was a trooper. Going down to that Flare Blitz is not... I mean, obviously it means that this is going to actually have to waste sleep turns and Zapdos stays Toxic, but I think it's a little late. Blissey comes in on Sceptile, and Sceptile just can't do jack shit to this. Go quick Energy Ball again, but Blissey can just start Seismic Tossing, yeah. And Sceptile again, Blissey can just start soft boiling, or just keep Seismic Tossing. That Spin F drop is, obviously doesn't really change anything, yeah. So I'm going to do, oh wow. With the Overgrown Spin F drop, that was a big roll to knock out of Energy Ball, but he did not get it. And this Overgrow Energy Ball is doing good chunks of things, but it's a bit too late. Oh, a crit Overgrow Energy Ball knocks out the Zapdos. Zapdos going down could be big. But in comes Rotom. Rotom on the Seismic Toss. Very good play from Egg Bombs. He's keeping himself in the game here. Out into Donphan. Does this Roam have a move? It's just going to Pain Split, get a ton of health back. Donphan is not running Sleep Talk, so the Maena going... Oh, yeah, we are side moves. So Maena going down is really big. Earthquake into the Clef does 48. Clef can try and soft boil these off, but there's more Earthquake PP left, and the crit's going to knock it out anyway. I'll be honest, I don't think it matters because Clef can never soft boil it off enough on the Donphan. Donphan has more PP. Clef is eventually going to run out anyway. Yeah, Maena saved so many lives. Maena did so much. I mean, letting Maena go down, but I think you were still in such a dominant position, it doesn't matter. Sceptile comes in, gets another Spadef drop, and this time he is forced out into Soul Rock because of the... And this Overgrowth was actually putting in so much work for the Sceptile. Blissey comes back in. We know it can't touch the Rotom. But Rotom clearly does not have a move to hit the Donphan either, or else it would have clicked it. Will Wisp, that's fine, but you can always just rest. Rotom is just running Hidden Power. What the hell? Let me look. Let a match begin. What the hell is that Hidden Power? Hidden Power. What do you need? Let's be Fire for Scizor, I guess. Hidden Power, Fire for Scizor, yeah. That makes sense. Toxic, obviously doesn't matter. This is just kind of coming down to PP at this point. Rest on the Donphan. Healing up. So Rotom is getting very well. It's going to be forced out soon from the Toxic. Yes, Pain Spit's going to heal up to full, but it's taking so much Toxic chip here. HP Fire, and yes, it's not doing, it doesn't really matter. Rotom's taking so much chip. In comes the Sceptile, but Blissey's just going to Seismic Toss, and that's going to pretty much end the game. Yeah, that's going to end the game. Rotom will eventually get out of Toxic here, no matter what. Donphan comes in, but it doesn't matter. Rotom cannot lock out these last 3 Pokemon before a Toxic Timer runs it out of HP. Hidden Power, Fire, Donphan sleeps, but again, it just doesn't matter. Rotom's going to go down eventually. Donphan sleeps again. It can just spam rest here. Or you can go Blissey on Hidden Power, Fire, fair enough. And, I mean, what does Rotom do? It can Pain Split, but it doesn't really matter. Heals up to full every time, but you can just wish out. Thunderbolt doing jack shit here, soft boiled, and yeah, he has enough recovery PP to Toxic Stall out the Rotom. Quicking Pain Split, but even then, you still have the Starmie in the back that's faster, so all you have to do is gain Surf range. Yeah, and Rotom is just taking too much. It can't even heal off of the Pain Split anymore. And good switch out to Donphan to ensure it goes down. And with that, Mardo's going to take a very, very, very long-winded 3-0 victory in... I'll admit, this is a real match of Egg Bombs. Like, Mardo's defensive core was so difficult for him to break through. He just brought pretty much hard stall here, which, I mean, it worked. Hard stall. He didn't bring a Scizor, didn't bring a Toxicroak, and just said, no, I'm just going to outlast you, and that's exactly what he did. Well, yeah, Maeda going down is unfortunate. But yeah, Mardo, you played this super well. You prepped incredibly well. Fantastic game from the two of you. Like, this was a really fun watch. Yes, it was a long one, but there was action happening for you. It wasn't like just 2 Pokemon PP stalling it. There was switching. There was movement around the game. It was a lot of healing. This was a fantastic and really fun match. This is probably one of my favorite matches I've seen all tournament so far. It was just awesome to watch. So much action, even if it was slow action. Like, it was just so many nuances, so many double switches. Fantastic prep. I really like the heal by Maeda into the double rest. That was very smart. Even if the Maeda going down made it a little stakier. We saw the Roar Zapdos. Obviously, we see Blissey just, knowing can just heal up everything. I'm curious more about what the Starmie set was, but obviously it's not really that relevant. It didn't really matter. The Sceptile with Overgrow actually coming in clutch so much, doing so much energy ball. Yeah, a Leech Seed is obviously a problem, especially. Yeah. And then, but yeah, and then we see the Subseed, very good prep from the Sceptile with that set. And then we see, obviously, booming Metagross on the Soul Rock was probably a huge turn. Metagross was one of the only breakers left. So coming into Soul Rock on the boom really opened up this game for you because you did not have to deal with Metagross cooking freaking Meteor Mash or whatever all over the place. I like the Bite Entei. I think I see like Bite Gyarados sometimes for Starmie. I think Bite Entei making a lot of sense here. And very good Rotom set to try and, beat down the Blissey. So, I mean, the fact that Clef ran out of Toxics and Sceptile ran out of Leech Seeds just shows this was a really intense game. And this was awesome. I loved watching this. This was fantastic, and one of my favorites of so far of the tournament. Hey, it's a good. I think it was our game 2. Yeah, our second game. So let's move into our third game. Into our third game here. We have Zakwe versus Aiden Enderguy, also known as Mimikyu Stardust. I believe Mimikyu Stardust made top 8 the last 2 DDTs. I think he was in top 8 both times. With his signature Kingdra composition, usually with a Pixie like Azelf or Uxie, and Kabutops. This is very much his style. He uses this frequently. And to be fair, I mean, it looks damn good here. I mean, I think Cloud9 Wikileaks going to have to come because otherwise not a ton wants to switch into Kingdra. A Gabite taken before Jolteon. I mean, I assume just no one else had points for Jolteon Coop, and so he just grabbed the Gabite. He's like, what? And then just typed in the chat, Jolteon last, I can't be sniped or whatever. That was probably just the situation. I assume that's how that worked. That would make the most sense. And Jolteon does sometimes last pretty late, so I can see that. Yeah, I highly doubt he prioritized the Gabite over Jolteon. I think he was just sitting there at the end, and he had more points than everyone else. This Kingdra's very scary. Outside Shaman and me, like a Spadef Wikiwiki. And Wikiwiki actually is pretty solid here. Heracross is the one thing that breaks it, but Heracross does have a pretty solid matchup. Outside the Gyarados, it hits everything really hard. Even Hitmontop doesn't want to take close combats well. On Zakway's side, though, this Gyarados is monstrous. The only thing that comes in on it is Kingdra, really, or Bronzong. But Bronzong's going to get worn down really fast, especially having to also check Metagross and Shaman. This Bronzong is incredibly pressured. All of Bronzong, Shaman, and Gyarados kind of necessitate the Bronzong to come in. Yeah, like, I don't know if I call it like Budget Snorlax. It kind of, like, its move pool's a bit different. It gets Wish, which is a big deal. It gets a Heal Bell. It just plays kind of differently. It is a fat normal that technically can curse, but it doesn't have the toxic immunity. It doesn't have thick fat. It just plays very differently. But it is, kind of fulfills a similar role, just does it in a very different fashion. We do see the Jolteon mirror. It's funny, Zakway's electric immunity is his own Jolteon, but he does have the Shaman, which should help. And their guy has pretty good Shaman, but obviously Zakway's Jolteon will run HP ground here. This is pretty interesting. I really like Shaman's matchup. I think it's very difficult for an Ender guy to break it down outside hitting of a Mega Horn with Heracross. But the thing of Heracross is here, it's going to have to predict really hard to actually get off it hits it needs to. I feel like it might want to run Flame Orb, but that ship is going to go fast if he can't get the predicts right. And if it starts getting like double intimidated by Heracross and Hitmontop and Gyarados, it's going to be really rough. I think I slightly give the edge to Zakway here, but Mimikyu Staris is a fantastic player. We've seen him do so much insane things in these tournaments. I can't count him out. So I guess I would give the edge to Zakway in terms of matchup, but I think I would bet my money on Mimikyu Staris here. He just always does so well with these rain compositions. Let's get into the game. We see Azelf lead and Metagross. So we do get the rain up immediately. Okay, and we get off a Meteor Mash doing a ton to Azelf. Azelf's just going to boom to get that momentum. Metagross has got Iron Defense, though. Interesting, but Kingdra can just come in on this. Yeah, in comes the Kingdra. And Hydro Ball Blue, knock it out. I highly doubt that crit matters. No way. Yeah, it's a Life Orb Kingdra right? That crit did not matter. In comes Wikiwiki. Oh, right. Shit. I forgot. Why did I think Cloud9 was not his ability? You don't see Wikiwiki that often. For some reason, I thought Cloud9 was its regular ability to help with this, but, no, it's okay, Coop. I'm always happy to answer questions. Honestly, Gabite's just not a great Pokemon, but he probably wanted a ground type. Let me look at his draft. What a ground type, probably wanted another rocker outside Metagross. It's not a great Mon, but like he wanted another rocker. He wanted a ground type. He wanted probably another electric. Honestly, electric, but maybe a fire switch. I don't know. It's just like 2 points or whatever, or 3 or 4. It's fine for what it is. They also like, what is it? Speed. 82 is not a bad speed tier here in this generation. So Wikiwiki's not actually Cloud9. The Kingdra is very strong here. I didn't realize that. For some reason, I thought one of its abilities was Cloud9 in this gen, but that's not till Gen 5. We already see the Gyarados try and set up, but the Nidoqueen's just going to quick roar and poison this Jolteon. Yeah, they were definitely guaranteed Jolt due to budget. I think he was asking why draft Gabite in general. They were definitely guaranteed Jolt due to budget. That's why I took it there in that order. Gyarados is good at Waterfall. Nidoqueen Poison Point. Those good chip that even further and Roar. Jolteon is going to take a ton more chip here. Bronzong's going to come in on likely Hidden Power. Hidden Power ground makes sense to cover both the Nidoqueen and the Jolteon. Thunderbolt doing 50. It's quite a strong Jolteon. It does reveal to be Life Orb. This Jolteon's getting so low. Yes, Thunderbolt will knock out the Bronzong, but it's going to go down this turn. And Kingdra gets in for free again. In comes Kingdra and Wikiwiki. Wikiwiki probably loses one, so Kingdra has to switch. In comes the Heracross. And Wikiwiki is just going to boom. That's one of the cool things about Wikiwiki is he has one of the strongest booms in the game because he has Explosion and Snorlax has a Self-Destruct. So that's going to take out the Heracross, which is a big threat. Ice Beam is not going to knock out the Shaman even with a Life Orb, and Seed Flare is going to take out the Kingdra. Zakway is looking at prime position here, but he is really low. And Jolteon is still in the back. Jolteon's gonna knock out this Shaman. Yeah, Nidoqueen's really good, Coop. I don't blame you there. And then in comes Frostlass. This Frostlass is probably Scarf based on how he's kept it in the back all game. Ice Beam will knock out the Nidoqueen. So in comes the Jolteon. AC wants extra chip. AC wanted Scarf for Scarf. And Jolteon's faster anyway, so never mind. It probably wasn't Scarf or it was Scarf Jolteon. Anyway, it very well might have been a Scarf Jolteon to cover the Gyarados probably. In a very clean win for Mimikyu Stardust. It was a close game, but he really kind of was on the ball the whole time. Just showing how strong Kingdra can be when you give it free turns like this. I did like Zapdos prep. I really thought the Wiki was a great bring here. The Metagross, I'm curious what Iron Defense was for. Probably just to help with Heracross, which makes sense. Is there anything else? Yes, probably just for Heracross. Yeah, I guess Kabutops theoretically. And nothing else too crazy. Boom, Wiki's pretty common. It doesn't always right, but it frequently does. Life Orb, Jolteon makes sense. Just get those extra damage rolls you need. But yeah, pretty good prep on both sides. And those roars were really strong for Mimikyu Stardust with getting in when he needed to and getting it poisoned into Rock's Chip. So get into the next game. On to game number 4. We have here E-Man versus Andre. I believe E-Man is already 1-0. I don't think Andre has played 8 games yet. So this is E-Man's ticket into bracket if he wins this. So start of the matchup. I mean, on paper, this looks pretty even. Both sides have really strong threats like D-Knight and Scizor and Variable Suicune, but they both have a lot of ways to check them too. I will say maybe even the biggest threat here is E-Man's Jolteon. Donphan and Rotom can take it on, but they aren't amazing into it. Registeel's a pretty good check, but if Jolteon's like riding Baton Pass, you can maybe Baton Pass into like a Flame Orb Hariyama and get a ton of chip on this Uxie. Yeah, it would probably work. I mean, it's not great, but you can chip it down over time. It's still going to be taking a good chunk from close combat. But yeah, it's just a really even matchup. I don't have much to say here. Like, both sides have a lot of strong threats into each other. Yeah, I mean, Coop, I also got stuck with Persian because I didn't have enough points for Perugly, so I get it. Yeah, D-Knight's obviously scary. If, like, Registeel goes down, it could do work. But I think between Suicune and Donphan and Uxie, it's probably going to be limited here. Let's see how this goes, though. Let's get into about Email on the left, Andre on the right. Uxie and Scizor lead. Scissor's just going to quick Scarf U-turn, doing 58 to the Uxie. And Andre's Uxie is going to paralyze each way for his Uxie. Each way for his Uxie is going to quick imprison as a... Sorry, Andre's Uxie as each way 4 uses knockoff. 3 rocks for Andre here. In comes the Rotom, gets Toxic. Blastoise is going to protect, get some extra chip, trying to wear down the Rotom so it can eventually obviously spin late game. Rotom is going to Shallow Ball. Out comes Hariyama, probably special defensive. Yeah. Oh, that's a huge Thunderbolt crit. Oh my god. That's very unfortunate, but Rotom is still forced out. It's not giving enough damage. And Hariyama's running Protect, so he's really going all in on this Toxic strategy. Makes sense. You really need to chip this Rotom for the late game. Donphan's going to come in as Hariyama just looks knock off, getting rid of his Pasho Berry. Interesting. Okay, so let me see. Well, let's see what the Pasho Berry might be for. I guess for Blastoise, I don't know. Pasho Berry is an interesting item here. Anyway, yeah, Donphan's going to try and talk to Hariyama, but Hariyama can have Guts. Is it Guts? It's probably Thick Fat for it and for it, I guess, so that's fair Toxic. Uxie come in on the Donphan Earthquake, and it's just a quick Psychic as the Suicune comes into a little bit of chip. Suicune is not leftovers, but he does quick Calm Mind. This signifies probably Rest Chesto Berry. It's got a quick Calm Mind again as Uxie just U-turns out. In comes the Blastoise. This clearly has Roar. Or Haze, but probably Roar. So he's going to Calm Mind again. Yeah, I don't get... I mean, it's pretty obvious if you made a Blastoise that's Roar. You should have just attacked and gotten some chip. Uxie's going to U-turn here into the Rotom. Blastoise is going to mix the Toxic. Maris Rotom's already poisoned. And Rotom will force out. He's going to double into Registeel on the Protect, not wanting to take too much Toxic chip. But this just gives Blastoise an opportunity to spin if it wants to. Registeel is just going to come in, Toxic the Hariyama. This Hariyama is probably Thick Fat. Yeah, and then knock off Registeel Protect. So we're seeing a lot of Toxic Protect in this game. Makes sense. Bulkier teams in DPP tend to do this a lot. In comes the Donphan. Double out into Uxie as... We see both Uxies come in this turn. we see Andre's Yuxi quick in prison, locking E24's Yuxi out, quick moves like U-turn and Stealth Rock, but obviously like that's a doesn't matter, just gonna U-turn and remove this status anyway. Seismic Toss. Yuxi's getting paralyzed a lot this game, but Yuxi is one of those Pokemon that could probably afford to get paralyzed. It's gonna knock off the Registeel, getting rid of its leftovers. Registeel is just gonna Seismic Toss onto the Blastoise, get some chip here. As Blastoise surfs, predicting the Rotom switch presumably. Registeel is going to protect and just continue chipping down the Blastoise. Blastoise really wants to get out of spin, but it could go Rotom here. Goes into Suicune. Is Blastoise going to spin this time? No, it's just going to surf. Oh, wait, it's not spin. We already saw 4 moves. Toxic, Protect, Surf. Never mind. I am a little dumb sometimes. Hey, wait. Toxic Miss on the Suicune is gigantic. Oh, my God. Surf is not going to knock out the Blastoise. It will land the Toxic this time. It will. That is big for each way for. Blastoise is going to go down, but this does let him get a Pokemon in like the Jolteon. This does force out the Donphan. Thunderbolt will knock out the Yuxi from that range. It's a Life Orb again, which a lot of Jolteon say. In comes the Donphan, bringing Yuxi. Donphan's just got Earthquake, but that's not making any progress. A little bit of chip on Yuxi, but Lefty's going to heal it off. In comes Registeel, and Yuxi gets paralyzed again. My God. Yuxi's going to switch out to Dragon, but Dragon's going to take some chip from this Seismic Toss. Fire Blast into the Registeel, doing 48. Seismic Toss is going to get this Dragonite very well, but Dragonite reveals Roost. Interesting. Registeel is going to Seismic Toss again. I'm curious if this Registeel is running Boom, but it doesn't really matter. Fire Blast is just going to knock it out. Infernape comes in. Infernape's going to quick Cane Power Ice. It is Yachi Berry Dragonite, but it is going to knock out Fruit. That might even be... Oh, no, it's Life Orb. That makes sense, yeah. There's probably a boosting item that's knocking out. Yuxi comes in here as the Suicune switches in. Yuxi just quick Psychic, gains some chip on a Suicune. Spidef Drop does mean it's in range of another one, especially after Toxic. Suicune's going to rest, though, but this means Psychics will start adding up. It reveals the Chesto. I kind of figured it was Rest Chesto based on how I was playing it earlier. Psychic getting off 26 here. Suicune's going to switch out to Rotom as Yuxi U-turns. Yeah, bring in Jolteon. You can fire off with a super free Shadow Ball here. Jolteon can quick Shadow Ball and knock out the Rotom. In comes Donphan. Jolteon's just going to Baton Pass into Yuxi on the obvious Earthquake. These Earthquakes are just getting faded over and over. So Yuxi's just going to Psychic or U-turn here. You're just going to U-turn. Getting back in Jolteon. And Jolteon's going to call the Suicune thing and get off the Thunderbolt and knock it out. Donphan comes in. Quick Ice Shard. Jolteon's going with Quick Cane Power. Presumably, I mean, obviously, yes, Ice or Grass. And Ice Shard's going to knock out this Jolteon. In comes Hariyama. Earthquake will knock it out, though. It does, is there a way out for E-Man? Ice Shard's going to do pitiful damage to Yuxi. Next, Psychic's going to do to a KO hit here. This paralysis might actually be hurting Andre because he can't Toxic it. Infernape's going to come in. Infernape is going to quick U-turn. But it cannot knock out the Scissor in the back. Well, because we know the Scissor Scarf. Scissor can just cook a potential fighting move like Aerial Ace and knock out the Infernape. Good win by E-Man, preserving his Scissor for the late game. We did know it was Scarf from turn 1. Yeah, very good play. Just slow rolling it, getting off the Toxics where he needed to, and just getting his attacks off where he needed. Very well done by E24. E-Man. Yeah, E-Man. Cool D-Knight set. I like the Fire Blast Roost. Obviously, the HPX did knock out because it was Life Orb, but I don't think it would have if it wasn't Life Orb. So, fair play there. I think staying in, that's fine. We do see the in-person Yuxi's pretty cool. I mean, they didn't do much, but I guess it presented our Yuxi from playing U-turn. They didn't really do that much. Yeah, nothing too crazy here. Good win by E-Man. Hey. On to Game 5. Here we've got Sleepy versus Hayden. Sleepy is the winner of the most recent Emerald Open, and she is a very, very strong player in Old Gens, ADV especially, but also DPP. Hayden, I believe, is unfortunately already 0-2 at this point, I think. So he is out of the tournament, but obviously fighting for that win and for honor's sake. So looking at this matchup, Sleepy has really good Kingdra counter play. Zapdos, Suicune, Celebi, Tentacruel, Umbreon. Kingdra's gonna have a lot of trouble making any sort of progress in this game. Same with Starmie, honestly. With I mean, yes, they can like signal beam onto the. Its coverage is good, but it's gonna have trouble here for sure. Zapdos is very strong as well. The electric resists are Venusaur and Steelix near, which you really want to take a Heat Wave. Yeah, I mean, this match looks pretty in Suicune's favor immediately. Suicune is decent here. Obviously, Kingdra can kind of break through with Outrage, but it's not guaranteed. And Venusaur is also not the best Suicune check since Ice Beam hits it really hard. Celebi looks very strong for Sleepy as well. Not a ton to deal with it. And even like a Leech Seed set could be very good, because the only thing stopping Leech Seed is Venusaur, which gets nuked by Psychic. Yeah, I definitely think I have to give this matchup to Sleepy, but we will see how it goes. So get right into the game. Sleepy on the left, Hay on the right. Sleepy is going to lead Steelix, and Hay's going to lead Aerodactyl. They're going to trade their rocks. As Venusaur comes in, takes a champion. Earthquake's going to do a Queen 41. That might be a more offensive Steelix. Sweep Power into Steelix, so that goes to sleep. But if you want anything to go to sleep, Steelix is not a bad choice. In comes the Umbreon. Venusaur has quick Leech Seed. I figured it would be Leech Seed in this matchup. Umbreon is going to switch back out of Tentacruel, as Venusaur does a knockoff. So, getting rid of Tentacruel's Black Sludge. 1 second, I just got a important email. Give me 1 second, everyone. Wait, I will have to deal with that after stream. Sorry, that's an IRL thing. I might actually have to stop after this game, and I might come back later, unfortunately. We'll see. Liquid Ooze is going to start chipping the Venusaur a bit. In comes the Bronzong on the knockoff gamer, but it's Damp Rock. Okay, that's going to limit turns for Kingdra. And Liquid Ooze is going to continue chipping everything. Bronzong is just going to light screen here. As it gets up the Rain Dance, Zapdos is going to Thunderbolt. This substitute could be really big for it. It's going to boom, so it will at least break the substitute and gain something for free. In comes the Kingdra, and with the light screen up, Zapdos can't do much back. In comes the Celebi. Zapdos, Kingdra is going to Hydro Pump. So do a lot of damage. Is it packing a Signal Beam? It might be Choice, so it's probably switching here. Leech Seed from the Celebi onto the Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl getting those rocks back up, as Psychic does a ton to it. In comes the Starmie to potentially spin and get to keep Aerodactyl LV. But is this Celebi packing a Grass move? It might be. Fourth move, Grass Knot is a ton to Starmie, yeah. In comes the Venusaur on our Grass Knot, but Psychic also does a lot to this too. Celebi is going to switch out in fear of a poison move. Arrow's going to come back in on the Tentacruel. This forces Tentacruel out. Arrow's probably just got Earthquake here, yeah. That there's like nothing to Steelix though, and Steelix is going to heal off the lefties and start burning sleep turns. In comes the Starmie. Steelix is going to burn his second sleep turn here. And Umbreon can pretty much always come out on Starmie very easily. Starmie's going to recover here though. Thunder Wave will get the Synchronized, but Starmie can't heal it off with Natural Cure after. Umbreon's going to Baton Pass, calling that into Tentacruel and get that healed up in front of the Aggron. Tentacruel is going to Surf. Makes sense. Just get some champion also to cover. The Starmie will probably cover a potential Steelix Switch as well. Paralyzing the Tentacruel could do something here, at least getting it slowed down for Aggron potentially. Spinning away the rocks again. Aerodactyl is just going to probably Earthquake again, or it's going to get the rocks back up. It killed Earthquake here, but that's going to do virtually nothing. Yeah, it's going to go out to Kingdra. Steelix is going to burn a third turn of sleep. In comes the Celebi on the Kingdra. Dracomir to 63, so this means this next one might KO after lefties. It's going to be a roll. But obviously, Sleepy can just switch, so Kingdra's forced out. In comes the Umbreon on the Aggron. Aggron is going to Head Smash, and that's going to knock out the Umbreon. That's probably Bandit if I had to guess. In comes the Steelix. As Kingdra comes back out, Steelix is going to wake up and get the rocks up. So unless Starmie can spin again, that arrow's in really bad shot. Kingdra is just going to knock out the Steelix here. In comes the Paralyzed Tentacruel, and in comes Starmie on it as well. Tentacruel's going to get paralyzed there. Is Starmie going to spin here? Yes. Is Tentacruel going to spin? I assume he's going to try to. So we're both going to get rid of the rocks again. And with Steelix down, Sleepy can't get the rocks back up. Kingdra's going to Draco Meteor just knock out this Tentacruel. It's definitely Specs now for sure. In comes the Celebi, and out and Kingdra goes out. Out comes the Aerodactyl. See, recover. And the rocks are now up to stay for Hayden. Now in comes Starmie. Starmie is obviously going to click a money. It's going to paralyze the Celebi. Not doing it. It's probably not running coverage for it then. It's going to recover. I guess fish for a full para maybe. And it gets it. Starmie's attacking move is Ice Beam, as Celebi quick Psychic predicting the Venusaur to come in. Ice Beam will pelt away at the Celebi. It's not doing much long term. In comes the Aggron Celebi Leech Seeds. Aggron's now in a prime position. Zapdos comes in, but he's just going to go down to Head Smash. Yeah, Zapdos just going to go down there. Suicune comes in. Suicune is, a decent shot here. In comes Venusaur. Suicune is going to start Calm Minding. Sweepy does have to go for it if she wants to win this endgame. Ice Beam into the Venusaur. What's Venusaur going to click? Sleep Powder. This Suicune going to sleep pretty much will wrap up the game, I think, but we'll see. Leech Seed from Venusaur is going to start wearing down this Suicune as well. Celebi comes out as Venusaur clicks Knockoff, removing Celebi's leftovers. Celebi is going to Grass Knot as Kingdra comes in. It does do good damage, but Kingdra's very scary here. Ice Beam's going to do a lot. But this is going to let Celebi recover and then go out to Suicune and burn a Sleep Turn potentially. Ice Beam is going to do very little, and Suicune can't start burning Sleep Turns here. Aggron is going to come out, though, and Suicune stays asleep next turn. It is really strong for Hayden. It's actually Scarf. It's not even bad. That's Head Smash, which is so unfortunate. Wow, and that allows Surf to knock it out. That's really bad for Hayden. In comes Venusaur, though. Ice Beam only doing 25, and Venusaur's going to miss a Sleep Powder. Oh, yikes. In comes the Celebi on the Sleep Powder. You can switch out, obviously, to get rid of that. I'm just going to start scaling Fruit as I do have to go, unfortunately, but Kingdra drinking me into Suicune does a ton of damage. Suicune's going to Calm Mind, but it's in range of another one. Celebi probably can't win this endgame on its own. We're going to see Starmie Thunderwave, and yeah, this is just going to... and Sleepy's going to forfeit. So, big win for Hayden. Big upset over Sleepy. I believe this puts Hayden up to 1-2, so he did get his win. And Sleepy's going to go down to 1-1, I believe. So, she will have to win her last game to move on. Unfortunately, I do have to leave. I had some apartment stuff come up. So, I will be back later, probably for the next 5 games, most likely. But for now,